Hello everyone, some new patch notes just dropped today for Destiny, and people are saying it is the end all. Oh no, grapple builds are officially dead because they no longer scale multiplicatively with Verity, and also Atheon can't get one shot by strand damage anymore, but it doesn't really matter because combination blow makes your grapple melee an arc attack. Anyway, if you're concerned about your grapple melee build being destroyed on Hunter, I have some good news for you. It quite literally does not affect the strongest build that the game has ever seen. Now, the rest of the video, I'm going to show you the build once again, because the changes made today do not actually affect this build, and here's why. So, here are the patch notes, and alarmists would tell you that this is going to absolutely fry. It's going to kill your build for starters. Some portal changes. Portal training tiers are now disabled for players reaching power 200. This is for people who simply did not slow down and go through the 6 tiers. I never had a problem with this. There's also fixing some issues where players at exactly 450 power didn't get any gear. Something. Grandmaster activities, you can now reconnect. Cool. Now, a bunch of trials changes as well. I don't really play trials, so I never actually saw any of these. However, the Lighthouse chest rewards were sometimes giving lower gear tiers than expected. It was 100% of the time. If you were not already 400 plus, you were not getting good gear. Anyway, Crucible Ops, they basically made the loot more consistent. There were some elements to how scoring was calculated and the way multipliers were applied that people just weren't getting tiers. My drops inconsistently were always in C tier even if I was winning, so hopefully this should fix it. They fixed an issue with the daily Nightfall playlist would sometimes not be available. I didn't notice that personally. Now, this is where people were freaking out. Reduced incoming strand grenade damage on Atheon in Vault of Glass. This is because Hunters and certain Warlock builds using Verity were able to just straight up one-shot Atheon with a strand grapple grenade. We did not want that. That was not good, quote-unquote. I agree. It's not a good thing for a single character to be one-shotting a raid boss with one ability, but it's Vault of Glass on normal mode, for God's sake. Like, who cares? Who cares? Strand damage wasn't good before. There was no good strand meta weapons that you were using on Atheon. It's just a targeted attack to strand grapple grenade. Also, the directory, we restored the directory's vibrancy to its pre-9.0.0 visuals with some additional minor aesthetic enhancements to complement the post-final shape layout changes. Thank God. I hated what they did to the directory, so I won. In the end, I won. As much as I have, the portal has grown on me, I just hated the fact that they just turned the color off on the directory. It just didn't look good. Now, for some actual gameplay, Wishful Ignorance reduced maximum damage bonus to PvE activities from 200% to 120%. I don't think that was the true issue. This is just a stopgap. This is just a stopgap change to essentially make Wishful Ignorance not overpowered, because they cannot fix the bug right now that gives you infinite Fauché Storm with Wishful Ignorance. So who knows? This just feels like a stopgap to me. I think that they'll revert the damage changes once they actually fix that bug, but this should kind of tone down those Titans just flying through the air, holding powered melee, doing Fauché Storm. Up next for Warlock, Verity's Brow and Spirit of Verity. Updated to Grave Strand, grapple melee and additive damage increase instead of multiplicative. TLDR, your maximum damage bonus is going to be 170% at its maximum as an additive damage bonus, no longer multiplicative. I don't think this changes anything significantly with the build I've been doing, because combination blow is the thing that has been making grapple melee insane. So I wasn't using Spirit of Verity anyway. So this doesn't affect me, and it shouldn't affect you either. We're going to go over the build again later in the video. Now, for armor mods, fixing issues where ammo generation chest mods were not working in Crucible. I didn't notice that. Fixing issue where tuning mods were not properly saved to loadouts. I did notice that on your tier 5s on some. I know my helmets and my cloak, those are the items I've actually got in tier 5. The tuning mods never saved. Admittedly, I only used the tuning on the helmet because my cloak tuning was kind of bad. TLDR. I just don't like how the tuning mod is also random. So you think you get a perfect god roll tier 5 for your build, and then you look at tuning, and then wait a second, it's saying you could tune and get 5 additional points in health. Like, okay, all right, sure. Weapons, Fortunate Star had the wrong intrinsic perk of precision. The bow was built to be a lightweight. I had to do a double take at this because I'm actually reading this for the first time right now. This should mean something to somebody because it appears that it had the wrong animations. Yeah, I don't really understand this. Apparently they fixed it. I'll trust that it's fixed. Now, the trial spread shot, or its neutralizer, it did have a lower than expected stat package, so it was technically worse, even though spread hand cannons are really strong right now. This is just a straight buff. It had the same issue that Crimson has. It has the same issue that Crimson had initially, whereas its stats looked really wonky because it was factoring the entire stat package for Crimson, that being a 3-burst weapon, into its stats, so it looked like I had way higher stats than it actually did. But now the stats should. I don't know if that was the same type of bug, considering that it didn't impact the arms weak version of the spread shot hand cannon. I don't remember the name of it right now, but the trials version of the spread shot hand cannon is just going to be way better now. Vigilance Wing. Fixed an issue where the weapon was not correctly improving health recovery when the last state was active. Now grants a plus 100 health stat when the perk is active. I did notice this. Now, I was using Red Death. I was using Red Death in my builds for the reason that Vigilance Wing wasn't giving me the health regen that I thought it was supposed to be getting. I used it after the rework and was like, this just isn't working. This was just a symptom of, I believe, the recovery system being changed to health, and the stat wasn't calculating properly what your regen was supposed to be. But now, plus 100 health stat, you're going to be getting some crazy regen. And Dead Messenger reduce wave damage against players, so can no longer kill in a single shot if all 3 waves impact. I think this is stupid. I think that all 3 waves of Dead Messenger should not have unique hitboxes. I'm not a game developer currently, so I don't actually understand the logic that they use when making Dead Messenger. All I know is that each wave is treated as its own separate hitbox, and there has to be some way to make it so that if you're hit by one hitbox, the other 2 hitboxes can't hit you. Maybe it's an issue where if you get hit by all 3 at the same time, it's just insta-killing you, but this is just going to make Dead Messenger worse. I don't know if they can tune it separately. How I would have done it is I just would have made Dead Messenger do a flat, like, 135 damage with one wave if you hit them with it. That way, the entire wave is treated as a singular hitbox rather than being treated as 3 separate hitboxes. But that's just what I'm assuming that Dead Messenger works upon. Like I said, I'm no game developer, so I don't actually know how this works. But in theory, Dead Messenger, it's going to suck again because it's not broken. It's just it's a weird gun in the Crucible meta. Now for perks, Burning Ambition, reduce scorch stacks applied by primary ammo weapons to already scorched players by 6. This basically was like a Discount Tommy's Matchbook before. Discount Tommy's Matchbook in Crucible, there was a funny there's a funny build that you can do if you use an Ahab Char with Burning Ambition. And also Enhanced 1-2 Punch, fix issue where the buff text was not displaying when the perk was active on primary ammo weapons. This basically only applied to some shotguns and the new Aura Nebulizer if you got it with 1-2 Punch. But this is I think an issue with the UI. The UI is so limited right now because you only have 4 sections for buffs on the left side of your screen. They just need to unlock the UI and let us customize it at this point. Genuinely, I really don't understand why we can't do that yet. Now, general default player movement speed jump height is now equal to pre 9.0. Tier 3 mobility for Titans Warlocks. Tier 4 mobility for Hunters. This should, I know there were some skips on Last Wish that Warlocks weren't able to do this patch because they did impact the movement speed. Hopefully, this makes it feel closer to what it was before the patch. Kepler, findable as a matter ball, not great. Special and heavy ammo in progress. I didn't know that this didn't count. And Solstice Fiction issue where the Solar Flare had no HUD melee icon, and also Crucible Ops matches were not progressed in the first step of the Celebrating Solstice quest. I did notice this when I played a match on my Warlock, but I thought nothing of it. And also, Flame Storm fixed an issue where Flame Storm can be used indefinitely when holding a Solstice Solar Flare Orb. Oh! Okay, well, going back to what I was saying before, Wishful Ignorance. They fixed it. They fixed the infinite wishful ignorance. So what was the point of nerfing the damage? And Tempest Strike damage now correctly procs combination blow. Tempest Strike sucked because Tempest Strike didn't work. But if it works, slide melee, get your combination blow stacks using Tempest Strike, so it's no longer just a throwaway fragment compared to Ascension or whatever one of the other ones were. I forget what their names are, but the one that works with melee. Warlock, handheld Supernova, increases damage versus combatants by 20%. This should... No, it says combatants, so this isn't a PvP change. So this is good. Voidlock grenade builds period are just super undertuned right now. If you're not using grapple, I understand what they were trying to do with the stat changes to grenades, but it seems like they just got nerfed across the board if you aren't using some hyper specific version of like a fusion grenade build for Warlock. Obviously grapple melee, but like all of your previous grenades that you thought were good just suck now. Seasonal artifact upgraded the artifact per shield crush to give strand, grapple, melee an additive damage increase instead of being a multiplicative one. This change does affect the build. This change does affect the build a tiny bit, but you know we'll have to do some damage testing to see. Shield crush really wasn't the thing that made it strong. The changes to abilities, 200% grenade, 100% melee, those are the things that really made grapple melee strong. So even if I wasn't using shield crush, I'd still be using the build. Additionally, fixed an issue where some players could not restart altar relativity. Okay. Fixed issue with portal's body counting daily challenges, which was not progressing faster with guardian kills. Did not know that was an issue. And fix an issue with where the tier 5 giver's blessing from the altar of relativity required completing more triumphs than were available in the Kepler title. Thank God. The title only requires 24 of the 29 triumphs, but this weapon requires all 29. I haven't completed all 29 triumphs, but just looking at it as I was going to earn it, it just felt a little bit ridiculous because I don't actually think you can do all the Kepler triumphs right now. You can do enough to get the title, but the ultimate level activity triumphs are currently locked. That could be fake news. I'll try to correct myself. I'll try to correct myself in post. Reduced frequency of Eververse appearing when logging in and out or returning to orbit. Oh my God, yeah, they messed that up bad. It was super. It's so annoying. I want to support them. I want to buy things in the Eververse, but it felt like every other time I was going into orbit from a dead activity or logging into the game, I was getting an Eververse message. Music will now play as expected when multiple guardians interact with the life of the party multiplayer emote. I don't even remember which emote was life of the party. Anyway, those are the patch notes. The build is not dead. The strongest build in Destiny history is not dead. The changes made mainly impact Spirit of Verity. We do not use Spirit of Verity, and the additive damage bonus to Shield Crush, we don't actually have a number for that right now, but the additive damage Shield Crush being changed to an additive damage bonus instead of a multiplicative one does not impact the performance of the strongest hunter build in Destiny history. That's pretty much it. Let me know what you think about the patch notes. There's currently a forum right now where if you think grenade builds are weaker than they ought to be, you can tell them why. I personally told DMG that strand damage grenades need to be stronger. So a little bit of a throwaway, but hey, listen, I'm glad that they're taking us seriously, quote unquote, fixing the real issues. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Have a great day now. Hopefully this uploads in a reasonable amount of time.